Commander Sugar Factory produces first 100 bags of sugar.
Maintenance works on Peduase Ayi Mensa Road to start tomorrow. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to News Hour, coming to you from Broadcasting House here in Akwa. My name is Gifty Eji.
I am Shelley, and now straight to our first story. The newly inaugurated Commander Sugar Factory has begun operating, producing its first 100 bags of sugar. It marks the first time in almost 2 decades that sugar has been produced in the country following the collapse of the sugar factories at Isuchari and Commander in the 70s. Management of the factory tells GBC24 that the sugar produced on Monday forms part of the mandatory test run required by the contractors who installed the equipment at the factory.
The inauguration of the Commander Sugar Factory by President Mahama was done last month. Since then, it has generated a lot of controversies, with some arguing that there is not enough raw materials to feed the factory. Others were of the view that all is set for Ghana to take her place among sugar-producing countries. Then came Monday, June 20, when the first test run was done, which led to the production of the first 100 bags of white sugar. The management of the factory described the production of sugar at Commander as historic because it is the first time in 35 years that Ghana has produced the commodity locally. The Commander Sugar Factory was initially set up by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, but his overthrow in 1966 affected the viability of the company. But things finally came to a head in 1978 due to technical and administrative challenges. The revamping of the Commander Sugar Factory by President John Mahama's administration is not only going to help create jobs for hundreds of Ghanaians, but also help in reducing Ghana's import bill on sugar, which runs into millions of dollars. Now, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Alhaji Inusa Fusheni, says government will be reviewing all road contracts which have been suspended due to non-payment. Alhaji Fusheni made a statement in Parliament on Tuesday. We have more on that story.
Adum-Bansu Road is a section of the Mpoho-Bansu feeder road of 11 kilometers. The first 4 kilometers is a bituminous surfaced road in fair condition, and the remaining 7 kilometers is a gravel surface road in fair to poor condition. The road is located in the Mpoho district of the Western region. The road was awarded for bituminous surfacing in 2007 under a Government of Ghana project. The works were suspended by the contractor due to delay in payments. Indeed, we are going to pay them in tranches, and we have already paid the first tranche. Hopefully, by the close of this week, we will pay in the second tranche. We are paying contractors who have completed work before we come to contractors who are still working. And so we will retire those who have completed work and then go back to deal with those who are still on site working.
Following the recent rains, the roads in parts of Akwa have developed potholes. GBC24's Winifred Efum has been looking at the situation and says vehicular movement on the affected roads is at a snail's pace.
This year's rains have not only rendered people homeless, they have created potholes in many roads in Accra. The affected roads include those around Agublushi and Abosokan near Kaneshi. Kaneshi itself is not left out. A bypass opposite the Odoko traffic light is no exception. Roads at SCC, a community near Kaswa, have their share of the damage caused by the rains. This side of the road at SCC looks like a death trap. Traffic moves at a snail pace here. This other stretch has also been rendered unmotorable. Because of this, the residents and motorists say they circumvent the stretch by using an alternate route, which is a long way. Some of the drivers who declined to speak on camera said the deplorable nature of the road makes them spend so much on spare parts to repair their cars. What surprises them is that the road was tarred about 3 years ago. This gutter at Makati Hill near Benches has been stuffed with rubbish, while weeds have also grown around it. This leads to flooding of the area anytime it rains. Some of the residents have also dumped waste along the road. For GBC24, Winifred Efum, Accra.
We now cross over to the eastern region where maintenance work on the Pediase-Ayi-Mensa stretch of the Akwa Road is set to begin. The Ghana Highway Authority has announced that the road will be closed to motorists on the 22nd of June for 5 months. Rocks have been hanging dangerously on the side of the stretch, posing danger to motorists and pedestrians.
This is the road from Accra to Ebiri. It is the major road that links Ayi-Mensa to Pediase Lodge. Rockfalls have been posing danger to motorists and other road users. According to the Ghana Highway Authority, the road is going to be closed to motorists for 5 months for maintenance work to be done on that particular stretch. As an alternative, motorists have been advised to use the road from Kitase that links Brekusu to Akwa. Some drivers and other road users hailed the project as a step in the right direction, but were quick to add that the alternative route is in bad state. Others were even unaware of the closure.
Personally, I think it's a good motive by those authorities who are responsible for it. It's going to help. Although there will be, since there's congestion on the road, at least there will be a problem, but we'll deal with it.
It would be better if they allow us to use the other stretch of the road.
They are going to make some repairs on the road, and I was told we have to pass through Brekuso. But I don't know whether that road has been also been constructed very well. I don't know. So we have to abide by what they will say, because we've seen that the
Some hawkers at the toll booth also expressed worry about the closure because it will affect revenue generation.
It affects my business a lot, and I will not like it. Because it makes I'll be in the house and I will not aim what I'm aiming like the way I used to aim.
The news team followed up to the Kitase-Brekusu road to ascertain the state of the alternative route. It took us an hour and 40 minutes to get to Accra, whereas the major road, which is going to be under construction, would have taken us just an hour, devoid of traffic. The Ghana Highway Authority is cautioning motorists to adhere to directions from traffic wardens to ensure safety on the road till the maintenance works on the road are complete. The University of Energy and Natural Resources has held its maiden congregation, having produced its first 200 graduates at the Senior campus. The university, which was established in 2012, focuses on research into energy and natural resources. President Mahama was at this first congregation and commended the country's universities for their contribution to national development.
The idea of putting up a public university in Bunahafo was a campaign promise made by the late President John Evans Atta Mills. He delivered on that promise about 3 years into his government when the University of Energy and Natural Resources (UENR) was inaugurated with 154 foundation students in 2012. The university's core mandate includes undertaking research related to energy and natural resources. 4 years on, the university now has a student population of 2,400. This includes students of the university's first satellite campus at Domahinkro, where its School of Agriculture and Technology is based. The school is one of the 5 that make up the UENR. At the maiden congregation, a total of 200 pioneering students graduated with Bachelor of Science degrees in Natural Resources, Renewable Natural Resources, and Electrical and Electronics Engineering. In his address, President John Mahama praised the late President Mills for his vision in establishing the University of Energy and Natural Resources and the University of Health and Allied Health Sciences in the Bunahafo and Volta regions. He said the government plans to establish public universities in all the 10 regions of the country. President Mahama emphasized that the Eastern region is the next to benefit.
I've directed the GET Fund to place absolute priority in the provision of infrastructure, equipment, and modern laboratories for the University of Energy and Natural Resources in the short term. I'm happy to announce that in the medium term, the Korean EXIM facility that is being negotiated for the campus of the University for Sustainable Development in the Eastern region also covers the University of Energy and Natural Resources.
The president spoke about the 200,000 rooftop solar project currently being implemented and called on the UENR to get involved in renewable energy production. The outgoing Vice-Chancellor of the UENR, Professor Mrs. Esi Ewa, thanked the university community for the support given her during her 4-year tenure and urged them to give even more support to her successor. The chairman of the University Council, Professor John Eyim, earlier named Professor Harrison Dapa of the University of Education's Mampo campus as the successor to Professor Esi Ewa. The occasion witnessed the matriculation of 35 pioneering students of the university's School of Graduate Studies. President Mahama later inaugurated a newly built and furnished lecture theatre for the university.
The United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has asked European nations to build bridges instead of walls. Mr. Ban's statement is in reaction to several walls put in place by European Union countries to block the influx of migrants, a development that defeats the principles undermining the formation of the European Union.
Russia, the largest member of the erstwhile Soviet Union, is a communist state which influenced a good part of the world. Russia was a key member of the Allied forces that defeated the Germans in World War II when Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime invaded Russia in an attempt to annex that country. Disagreements about how to configure the smaller states in Europe after the World War itself led to the Cold War between capitalist America on one side and socialist Russia on the other. The Cold War lasted for 46 years. The post-Cold War era was dominated by suspicions and counter-suspicions between these two superpowers and their allies. In the midst of it, Ghana pursued a middle course, declaring its non-aligned stance under Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. During the Cold War era, Russia invested substantially in the state enterprises of friendly countries, most of which were in post-colonial Africa. The investments were mainly in infrastructure, machinery, and manufactured goods. Being endowed with large deposits of gas and other natural resources, Russia supplies most of Europe's gas, in addition to being gifted with high-level human resources in the area of science and technology. But now, Russia's interest in Africa has diminished drastically due to global economic challenges, with the situation worsening when the EU slapped economic sanctions on Russia in 2014 for invading Ukraine and annexing Crimea. The dwindling Russian economic interest in Africa comes at a time when other BRICS countries such as China, India and Brazil are stepping up investments in Africa, a continent that has about 7 of the world's fastest economies and thus described as the new growth pole. Yet, Russia is concerned with domestic crisis management rather than asserting its big brother influence through investment in Africa. The 20th edition of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum was to test the waters and re-strategize through the convergence of economically thriving nations, which included Ghana for the first time. The SPIEF 2016 ended with frank discussions and suggestions to Russia on how to strategically position itself in the world economic order to remain relevant today as it used to be years ago. But with her nose deeply in the Syrian war and fist firmly on Crimea and eyes on the Korean tension, one wonders how much could come out of these discussions. GBC24, St. Petersburg.
The Ghana Prison Service is on course with its 10-year strategic development plan, Project Ifiase, to better the living conditions of prisoners in all the 43 prisons across the country. The Prison Service has called on the state broadcaster GBC in Akwa to help address pertinent issues that the service is encountering in its quest to reform and rehabilitate incarcerated inmates. The Prison Service has faith in GBC's capacity to propagate the needs of inmates in the country's prisons. The call on the management of GBC was to get the state broadcaster involved in the dissemination information about prisons service, particularly Project Ifiase. The Ghana Prison Service is an adjunct to the criminal justice system as it contributes to the maintenance of internal security by maintaining safe reformatory penal systems. Currently, the Prison Service has about 15,000 inmates in its custody, but living conditions at the various prisons are appalling as facilities to house inmates are inadequate. The chairman of the Ghana Prison Service Council, Reverend Dr. Stephen Wengham, appealed to corporate bodies to include the prison service in their corporate social responsibility to help reform and rehabilitate inmates.
The issue of congestion still persists. The total capacity of the 43 prisons is supposed to be 9,000. As I speak now, our 43 prisons are accommodating 15,000 of about 6,000 inmates. We are appealing to every Ghanaian. This issue about reforming our prisons is not about us. It's about public safety.
A board member of Project Ifiase, Mr. Solomon Appiah, said only 2% of the country's prison inmates have post-JHS education, which indicates that illiteracy contributes to most criminal cases recorded. He asked for increased educational efforts to help reform inmates. The acting Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Mrs. Francisca Ashito Oduntun, pledged the state broadcaster's support for the Project Ifiase. She encouraged prison officers to execute their duties diligently.
GBC will continue to support the prison service. GBC, as a public service broadcaster, we are for the public good. So anything that would be for the public good, we will firmly support.
The Prison Service presented a copy of a book which contains its operations and accounts, as well as activities outlined to mark the one-year ceremony of Project Ifiase.
Now imagine a technology that enables one to have a complete ecosystem thriving in a home or office. This is where organic waste generated is recycled in a small space to cultivate farms that meet one's nutritional needs and also leaving behind a clean, odorless environment. Serofori has been to the site where the technology has been adopted. The system is currently in use in Senegal, India and Bangladesh.
It's clean, it's green, and a return to nature. These are the features of the biofuel digesters, a built-in home toilet solution, and rainforest water treatment system. Although water produced can further be treated for drinking, at the moment that is not feasible. The water can be used for other domestic purposes without ingestion.
Unlike the septic tank, you don't have to bring any truck to empty it. It does not smell, and it's installed in one day. Now it makes it possible for everybody to have a toilet in their homes. Because one of the biggest constraints was how do you treat the waste? The other treatment systems other than the septic tank is the pit or KVIP toilet, which has a lot of problems associated with it. Stench, and even then, it will always fill up.
This is the biofuel digester. The casing makes sense for the location. So it could be something that you're looking at as if it's somebody's patio or their deck or an installation where you place chairs or flowers. But no, this is your waste management system.
Septic systems are emptied very frequently, not to mention the challenges of properly disposing of fecal matter. There are over 6,000 installations of the biofuel digesters across the country, largely developed by local artisans and engineers. With donor funding, plans are underway to scale up the technology in rural communities. Biological filters and composters also make alternative use of household organic waste.
Regardless of where you live, regardless of what environment we find ourselves, we can create a continuous life cycle, correct? So where we've installed here, these baskets you'll find will be part of our rainforest water treatment system. So we'll be able to provide plant life within the baskets, and that continuous cycle of filtration is moving from the pond through the plants and back again.
These perforated containers are the composters, which also serve as the rich hub for crops. All one needs to do is to toss the leftover meal and a seed to cultivate. The biofuel digester at the moment costs 2,000 cedis for each installation with a 2-year guarantee. Seemingly a cost-effective technology compared with the insanitary environment in parts of the country. Sarah for GBC24, Accra.
And those were the local stories. Coming up is business. Please stay.
Hello, good evening and welcome. We are grateful to have you join us for some business update. I'm Dorothy Ajmai. Vice President Kwesi Arthur has urged Russia to shift focus from its military ambitions to the African economy, which is the investment destination for international businesses. In an interview shortly after the 2016 International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, Mr. Emisa Arthur said Russia still has what it takes to pick up the pieces and cannot ignore Ghana, which presents that window of opportunity and gateway to a West African market of more than 300 million people.
At the just-ended St. Petersburg International Economic Forum (SPIEF) 2016, Vice President Kwesi Arthur first shared some thoughts on Russia-African relations. Does that mean Russia is not interested in Africa?
Oh, clearly, Africa is too important to be missed by a great country such as Russia. I think that every country has challenges at any particular time, and they focus on those challenges. And currently, they're focusing on the challenges in their relationship with America, on the security challenges that are posed to them, the countries that border them, and what they want to do with them. So they are saying that they are not sufficiently focused. They have an African policy. I think that they have not sufficiently focused on what we see, what we want to do.
So what is the way forward for Russia-Africa trade and investment?
Previously, countries have felt that there was a risk. The returns are great. Now we are minimizing the risks. The risk, political instability, changes of government that was not democratic. Those risks have been removed. The risk of sharp changes in policy no longer there. There's a lot more stability in policy, in focus, in the economy, in democracy than we had previously. So now we are left with a very minimal risk region with high levels of return. But the past is still, a lot of people are not seeing Africa in the new light, in the light in which we are living. And so they are not participating as much as they can, and we think that it's possible for them to also reassess the situation.
Mr. Arthur said, with Africa being the new investment destination for businesses, given the conducive climate and opportunities Ghana presents, it is instructive for those who want high returns on their capitals to look in the direction of the African continent. GBC24.
Power production by the Volta River Authority has dropped to 320 megawatts. The drop follows a reduction in the water level of the Akwa Dam. Currently, the authority is operating 3 of the plant's 6 turbines, given the challenges posed by the drop in water level. The power systems of Togo, Benin, Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire are linked in an interconnected grid to supply power to these West African countries.
The Akwa Dam has been a major source of electricity for the past 40 years. Ghana's generation mix consists of 52% hydro, 36% thermal and 0.1% solar. Independent power producers generate 12% of thermal power. The Akwa Dam experienced its maximum water levels of 276.41 feet in November 1974, and the lowest water level ever recorded was 235.76. That was in June 1984. In 2014 and 2015, the water levels in the Volta Lake dropped significantly. The minimum operating water level for the dam is 240 feet, and at this level, authorities are required to shut down the turbines to save the plant. The current level of 235.99 feet means that it has gone far below the required lowest level. At its peak, the plant generates a maximum of 1,200 megawatts of electricity every day. The chief executive of the VRA, Engineer Kek Kofi, says the situation has affected power supply.
Ghana has been predominantly hydro till we added on thermal. So our cost is about 1,000 megawatts, and now we are doing only about a third of it. So you can see the impact. That has to be replaced by thermal generation. Akwa is in. We are trying to expand that. Mary is in, 250 megawatts. We've just finished with our thermal plant, which is also a 200 megawatt plant. We can only run on gas, but unfortunately, we're not getting enough gas now. So that thermal plant is running on diesel efficiently, but a bit more expensive.
The authority is expecting the onset of the rains to improve the situation.
As a result of the very low level, we're running only 3 machines out of 6 machines. So right now, 6 machines are available. We are running only 3 machines. But the good thing is that it started raining now, which is quite early, and it's a good sign. So we expect the rains to continue, and then we'll turn around and then start going up. But we'll continue to run the 3 machines for a long time. So even though our customer has about 1,000 megawatts, we're doing just about 320 to between 320 and 360 megawatts.
Officials say, due to the unreliable rainfall, the authority is now focusing more on thermal energy, which will come at a much higher cost than hydropower.
You're watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. On the Interbank Market, the pound sterling lost 16 pesos to the cedi to trade at 5 cedis 73 pesos. The euro also depreciated by 3 pesos. The dollar, however, maintained its value against the local currency to trade at 3 cedis 90 pesos. The rates up next. On the international commodities market, light crude and gold lost 52 cents and $90.60 respectively. However, cocoa gained $63 to trade at $3,169 per ton. Now, some insurance news. Renewing insurance policies and paying premiums on time are two taxes a policyholder has to undertake. A policy lapses if the holder fails to pay premium after a stipulated grace period of 30 days for a policy. GBC24 has this story on the effects of lapses in insurance payment.
Lapsation means that an insurance policy ceases to exist. When policyholders miss their premium payments, they are no longer protected under the insurance. If the policyholder dies, the nominee will not be able to avail the claim as the policy had lapsed and there was no risk cover. These days, insurance companies send reminders via emails and text messages to insured persons well in time in order to avoid lapse. When it comes to health insurance, failure to renew the policy or pay it on time can prove to be a very costly mistake. The revival of a policy after lapsation varies from company to company. It also depends on the duration of the lapse. One's first attempt at reviving a policy should be within the grace period. Monthly premiums usually have a grace period of 15 days, while yearly, half-yearly, and quarterly premium payment policies have a grace period of 30 days. If you ensure payments within that period, all benefits remain intact. However, if you miss the grace period, then you can opt for revival within 6 months of the first unpaid premium. To avoid lapses, experts advise that before one signs a life insurance contract, the person should make sure he or she is aware of the capabilities and not opt for lump sum payments if that will burn a hole in the pocket.
The insurance news was brought to you by SIC Live. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.
I'm a communication specialist. I facilitate understanding among people, individuals, organizations, communities, and nations. But how could I have achieved this if I had gotten married as a child? In Ghana now,
Welcome back now to some health news. The National Health Insurance Scheme Review Committee wants government to redesign the scheme to guarantee the delivery of primary health care to the committee. This will make the scheme more efficient and responsive to the needs of the citizens. This and other recommendations were contained in a report compiled following a 9-month review process. Cyril Fori reports.
Over 11 million subscribers access healthcare through the National Health Insurance Scheme, just about 12 years of being operational. A significant number of the poor and vulnerable are exempted from contributing towards the scheme. Other sources of financing have also been inadequate. Since September last year, the NHIS Review Committee have been exploring best ways to obtain requisite financing to sustain the scheme. It has also held nationwide consultative meeting and arrived at the following recommendations, key of which is to redirect resources and efforts towards primary health care.
The committee's recommendation of a universally guaranteed primary health care package of services, if accepted, means that possession of the NHIS card will no longer be a precondition to access the primary health care package, though identification will still be required.
The committee is further proposing reforms in maternal and neonatal care in the country, while establishing a patient protection council to empower and protect subscribers from abuse. The Minister for Finance, Mr. Seth Tekpe, called for active support from the private sector as the scheme intensifies its resource mobilization.
The need for us to make our statutory funds the focus of social intervention programs in Ghana. I think for a long time, when we talk about social intervention, the focus has been on utilities and petroleum. Looking at our statutory funds and the amount of resources that are devoted to these funds, we can turn them into the basis for social intervention in the country.
Vice President Kwesi Emisatha said the issue of healthcare financing can no longer be ignored as the disease burden of non-communicable diseases escalates.
The increasing cost of healthcare have contributed to the inability of the NHIS to settle claims to healthcare providers in a timely fashion. That's part of the problem. So the implementation of a sustainable health insurance scheme is challenging. Resources are inadequate, the needs are growing, the capacity is not there. That is the reason why it should provoke and stimulate us to introduce features that improve the sustainability of the health insurance scheme.
The review of the National Health Insurance Scheme, although the first of its kind since its establishment, is targeted at attaining a sustainable universal healthcare coverage across board. Serofori GBC24, Accra.
A Ghanaian diabetes expert, Rexford Ahima, has been named the Bloomberg Distinguished Professor of Diabetes at Johns Hopkins in the Schools of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing. He will serve as Director of the School of Medicine's Division of Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism, and as leader of the Diabetes Initiative. Rexford Ahima joins Johns Hopkins from the University of Pennsylvania, where he is currently a professor of medicine, a world-renowned scientist. Ahima is known for uncovering connections between diabetes and obesity by studying the physiological mechanisms of obesity. Ahima earned his undergraduate degree in endocrinology at the University of London, his medical degree from the University of Ghana Medical School, and his doctoral degree in neuroscience from Talent University. He is a product of the prestigious Accra Academy School. Now over to Gifty for a local story.
Well, Accra will soon operate a bus rapid transit BRT in which a fast lane will be reserved for transportation within the capital. There will be buses which will ply point without making stops on the way, while others will also make stops and allow passengers to alight or join along the way. The bus rapid transit is one of government's strategies to ease or circumvent vehicular traffic congestion on the busy streets of Accra. Napoleon Atukito followed the president's itinerary from a terminal in Ofanko, where the BRT will take off through Medina, Atomic, Nima, Amasaman and Ridge on what has become known as Accounting to the People tour.
Ofanko is the main outlet from Accra onto the highway to Kumasi. It had always been a traffic bottleneck until various interventions which only served as palliatives. One audacious response to Accra's perennial traffic jams is through the bus rapid transit, known simply as the BRT. On day 2 of his Accounting to the People tour, the president went to Ofanko to inspect a terminal from where this innovative means of road transportation will start. New buses had been lined up as to indicate that the project was alive and will take off after years of preparations. The buses will ply on the outer lanes of multiple carriage rows. The BRT buses are solely earmarked for the fast lanes. After inspecting the Ofanko terminal, the president said the BRT had come to change or modify public transportation in Ghana by facilitating movement of persons without let or hindrance. The president also inspected a 100-bed hospital facility under construction at Atomic near Hacho. For lack of space in Medina, the project was moved to the present location, and it is to serve the fast-growing neighborhood of Medina, Hacho, Atomic, and surrounding areas. The president noted that by spreading health facilities across the country, it will not only grant access to medical care, but jobs for the teeming number of health professionals. He then moved to inspect the Ridge Hospital, where major rehabilitation works are taking place. This is phase 1 of the project, and it comes with a new building equipped with modern gadgets. It is to be completed and handed over for use by the last quarter of the year. The president was met by a huge crowd when he went to Medina. It is a suburb where the president began life as a young man. At Amasaman, the chiefs and the people requested the government to connect new settlements around the area to good drinking water. They also appealed to the authorities to check power outages in the area, which they consider to be too frequent. Nima awaited the president's entourage with bated breath. Finally, when he came, he stood on the platform of Maslock and urged the people to apply disbursements made to them judiciously for the benefit of their businesses. Napoleon Atukitu reporting.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. We go straight to the Kotoba Wembley Park, where the annual Sheikh Shaributu Ramadan Cup will be taking place. It has been launched, and the competition is aimed at drumming home the message of peace during, before, and after the general elections.
On the 12th of July this year, the second edition of the biggest Zongo football gala competition in the country, the annual Sheikh Shaributu Ramadan Cup, will be staged at the Kotobabi Wembley Park. 12 Zongo community-based football teams will be competing for honors on the day. There are Shukra, Nsawam Zongo, Mamobi, Nima, Madina, Dakuman, Newtown. The rest are New Fadama, Tudu, Sabun Zongo, Alaju, and Ashaiman. The launching of this year's event attracted some dignitaries from the Ghana Football Association, the Pro Footballers Association of Ghana, and sponsors. The chairman, Sheikh Yunus Mohammed, who represented the chief imam, urged the teams to give off their best. A member of the organizing team, Tamimu Issa, explained the rules of the game.
The essence of this competition is to promote cohesion, tranquility and discipline among the youth of our Zongo communities and beyond. These values I've enumerated are the cherished values of Dr. Sheikh Nuhu Shaributu, and it epitomizes his character and our religion, Islam.
Basically, we are attracted to this event because of its focus on peace and unity, where the organizers convinced us that this year's edition is to promote peace, preach against election-related violence, especially involving the Zongo youth.
The headline sponsors, the Royal Bank Foundation, presented a check for 20,000 Ghana cedis. The winner of the competition will take home the glittering trophy at stake and a cash prize of 5,000 cedis plus products from the sponsors.
The National Sports Authority says it has nothing against the eligibility of the current leadership of the Ghana Taekwondo Federation. The Director of Sports at the authority, Mr. Joshua Mensah, says allegations concerning embezzlement of funds by the Federation are false.
Where none of the sports federations, I repeat, none of the sports federations under the National Sports Authority, which participated in the Olympic Game qualifiers, had any money either from the Sports Authority or from the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
As an executive board, we met and we agreed that we should to bring some of my opposition members to serve on the executive board, the subcommittees. So we asked the PRO to contact some of them because we will try to give them positions. When he called them, he told us that they have nothing to do with the Ghana Taekwondo Federation anymore. Please, I'm repeating. They said they have nothing to do with the Ghana Taekwondo Federation anymore. This means that we cannot even call them to our competitions. And since November 15, 2013, they have never, and I repeat, never participated in our programs, be it championships, be it referee courses, coaching courses, they have never. So even we are surprised that they will take to the street and now they are concerned about our problems and they want to be out of office. They are talking about funds. Such people, what can we talk about them? There's nothing we can do.
Third-time final MVP LeBron James and Cleveland Cavaliers have returned home to Ohio after winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The Cavaliers secured the title after beating the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 to win their first Major League Sports title in 52 years.
Hello, good evening. Time for some arts news. My name is Valerie Danso. Ghanaian Highlife and Afrobeat music duo Galaxy have urged the Musician Union of Ghana to concentrate on developing the musical careers of budding artists. Past 11 years, these two have worked together to achieve their goal. Galaxy has over the years released hits like Boko Boko, Hala At Me, Bobobo, The Winter Storm, and Papibi. According to Galaxy, Ghana has no music industry and it's nothing to be proud about.
We don't believe we have industry. We don't even have one.
Because now in Ghana, if you do your song, you need to impose a song on the people by force. You need to take your songs to the radio stations. When you've gone to the studio to pay about $1,000 to record a song, when you take it to the radio station, they have to take you money before they play it. And it doesn't make the industry, good for us. Yeah.
The duo also say fans can make and unmake artists.
Even on social media, we have a lot of followers. Some would like to chat to you, private chat and stuff, but I make sure I respond to every message I have on Facebook.
Even if you get 1,000?
I will respond. I don't make them pile up. You can say I'm always on my phone because people know we are live on GBC24 and GTV.
Okay, all right.
So they are asking me questions. I'm still attending to them. That is the kind of respect I have for people who love our song. Because we don't see them as fans. We see them as our family.
Today is World Music Day, a day that celebrates the power of music to bring people of all ages, races and cultures together. Celebrated for the past 34 years, the day brings together more than 120 countries from across the world each year on the 21st day of June. That's all in this segment.
Well, this has been News Hour on GBC24. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.